Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to tackle a skill that you're going to need for pretty much everything: your exams, your future job, your everyday life. We're talking about communication. We're going to break down all the basics so you can become a truly effective communicator. Okay, let's kick things off with something that might just surprise you. What if I told you that most of what you communicate isn't actually the words you say? Yep, a huge 65% of our communication is nonverbal. That means your body language, your tone, your expressions, they're all sending a way stronger message than your words often do. So, here's our game plan for today. We'll start with a really cool analogy, the communication iceberg. Then we'll get into the power of words, and after that, the silent messages we send. We'll also look at why communication sometimes just fails. And stick around, because at the end, I'm giving you a practical toolkit you can start using right away. Let's start with our first big idea, the communication iceberg. Just picture an iceberg for a second. That little tip you see sticking out of the water, those are the words we use. But the real action, the huge, massive part, is hidden underneath. That's all our nonverbal stuff, and that's where the true meaning is often hiding. Right, first up, let's talk about that tip of the iceberg, the power of words. This is what we call verbal communication. Basically, anything that uses words, whether you're speaking out loud or writing it down for an exam. Now, verbal communication comes in two main flavors, oral and written. Oral is just speaking. It's spontaneous. It's natural, like chatting with a friend. Written is, well, it's writing. It's more planned out, more formal. Each one has its own superpower, so let's check out when to use them. So, when is it better to just talk? Well, speaking is perfect for anything that needs that personal touch and a quick back and forth. Think about brainstorming ideas for a group project, or needing to tell a friend some urgent news, or even having a serious chat where you need to see how they're reacting. It's all about that instant connection. And what about writing? When should we use that? Writing is absolutely essential when you need a permanent record of something, for official documents, important reports, or any message that needs to be super precise. It's basically your proof that you said what you said. And this quote right here, it just nails it. The simple act of writing forces you to organize your thoughts. If you can't explain an idea clearly in writing, chances are you don't really understand it yet. That's actually why writing essays is such a great way to learn. But it's not always an either-or situation. The real pros, they use both. For example, after you have a great group discussion, it's a brilliant idea to send a follow-up email that summarizes everything. That way, you get the creative energy of talking plus the clear, permanent record of writing. Best of both worlds. Okay, time to take a deep breath and dive below the surface of our iceberg. We're now entering the amazing world of nonverbal communication, all the powerful ways we send messages without saying a single word. I mean, just think about the emojis you use every day, or the little icons you see everywhere. A simple bathroom sign or a recycling symbol gives you a clear message instantly, no words needed. It's like a universal language we can all understand. Now, a massive part of this is body language, which has a fancy scientific name, kinesics. Think of it as the visible code our bodies send out. And here's the thing. Sometimes your body language tells the truth even when your words are trying to hide it. Let's just take eye contact, for example. If you hold someone's gaze, it usually signals that you're confident and you're paying attention. But if you're constantly looking away or at the floor, people might think you're nervous, not interested, or maybe even not being totally honest. It's a tiny detail with a huge impact. And your posture, it's talking all the time. Imagine you're in class. If you lean forward a bit, it tells your teacher you're engaged. But if you're slouched way back in your chair, it might send the message that you're bored, even if you're actually listening. Even the physical distance you keep between yourself and other people sends a message. This is called proxemics. And it makes sense, right? You stand way closer to your best friend than you would to a total stranger. That space silently defines your relationship. And finally, never, ever underestimate one of the most powerful tools of all, silence. A well-timed pause before you make a big point can make everyone in the room hang on your every word. Seriously, sometimes the most powerful thing to do is to say nothing at all. Okay, so if communication is this thing we do all day, every day, why are we so often bad at it? Let's get into the next section and look at the common roadblocks that cause all those misunderstandings. One of the biggest culprits is something called ambiguity. Just look at this sentence. They can fish here.
What does can mean? Does it mean they are allowed to fish, or that this is a place where they literally put fish into cans? Without more context, the message is totally confusing.
And there are other language traps too. You've got homophones, words that sound the same like see and see. Even the stress you put on a word can completely change a sentence's meaning. And, of course, using a bunch of technical jargon with someone who has no idea what you're talking about is a surefire way to lose them. Sometimes the biggest barriers aren't in the words at all. They're inside our own heads. These are socio-psychological barriers. Like maybe you have a personal bias against someone, so you just dismiss their ideas. Or maybe you only hear the parts of a message that you want to hear. And let's be honest, in our super distracted world, a short attention span is a huge barrier.
All right, we've talked about the problems. Now for the fun part. How do we fix them? Let's get to the most important part of this whole lesson, your communicator's toolkit. I'm going to give you a super simple framework you can use for everything. And this right here is the solution. It's a simple but incredibly powerful framework called the 6 WHs. Think of it like a mental checklist to run through before you send any important message, whether it's an email, a presentation, or even just a conversation.
So here are the 6 questions you absolutely need to ask yourself. First, why? What's my goal here? Second, who? Who am I talking to? Third, how? What's the best way to do this? Email, phone, in person? Fourth, what? What's the main point I need to get across? And finally, where and when? Is this the right time and place? Answering these first will make your communication a million times better.
So let's do a super quick recap. We've learned that communication is like an iceberg. There's the verbal part you see and the massive nonverbal part you don't. We know there are all sorts of barriers that can get in the way, but the good news is, by using your new toolkit, the 6 WHs, you can plan your message, smash through those barriers, and make sure you're always understood. For more clear explanations and daily IGNOU videos, subscribe to IGNOU Mind Decoded.